Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society, a Smash Bros. Ultimate leak. You know the internet is angry about that. It's dangerous to go alone, so the Nintendo Cartridge Society goes with ya. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellers, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host, Mark Mitchell. We've got a good show for you today. We are going to be talking about the news from the week, including a possible Smash Bros. Ultimate character leak. And then on Thursday, we're going to be talking about Castlevania Season 2 with returning guest, Colin J. Morris. So you should also be a returning listener and come back for that. In the meantime, Mark, how are you?
I'm doing great. I love that we're releasing our Castlevania themed episode the day after Halloween.
After Halloween.
Which is, of course, still like slightly spooky because it has like residual spookiness.
Yeah, well, honestly, I want to know what, because Netflix, first of all, it puts out this Castlevania show on the 26th.
That's right.
Right? Also, on the 26th, they're like, here's that Chilling Adventures of Sabrina show.
Netflix doesn't care anymore.
Netflix is just putting out everything. And, like, these are both shows that I have interest in.
Yeah, but they don't want you. It does them no good, really, if you watch all of it immediately. Like,
Right.
They want you to be like, can't cancel Netflix. I still have to watch Castlevania Season 2. Because I know most people probably watch Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. Not the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina.
No,
there
just,
are many.
just Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. That's right. I've seen the hashtag and several episodes of the show. I believe the comic book was called The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina.
Well, this is a clear distinction, a clear break.
Yes, that's
Fans
right.
should not expect the comic book.
Even though the credit sequence is all Robert Hack's art directly from the comic book, and the whole thing is created and most of it written by I forgot the dude's name,
Robert
Aguirre Sacassi or something like that. Also wrote
Clean
the comic
break.
book.
Clean
break. What are we doing here, Mark? We're having our show. We're having this Nintendo show. This isn't about the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina.
No.
Or Castlevania Season 2. That's Thursday. But what this show is about is what's happening in the news in Nintendo. This has never been this bad before. I don't know what's happening. Mark, here, look. We've got to deal with some guest weather.
Yeah, I think that's what was throwing us because
yes.
for so long
I didn't know how to make this transition anymore.
No, for so
used
long
to be it's a time for a history lesson, right? We used to talk about the weather.
Oh yeah, as a feature
Yes.
on this show.
A local weather report.
Uh-huh.
The weather is it's LA, it's whatever, who cares?
Yep.
But
because that was so boring,
Mhm.
it didn't stop us from doing it. But because it was so boring, we also started incorporating guest weather, where we would pick a place anywhere in the world and tell
Mhm.
you what the weather is there. And then we stopped doing that. But if you leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and you request guest weather, we will deliver.
So we did get a request from, and what was the username? Emoj something.
Oh, I thought you wrote it down.
I did not.
I'll look it up. I'll look it up. Keep going.
But so we got requests for 3 guest weathers. So we're going to pound through them all right now, Mark. All 3 of them. Grand Rapids, Michigan. Looks like it's 39 degrees. Might be raining because it's Tuesday. It seems cold in Grand Rapids.
Brr.
Chilly. If you're going trick-or-treating, make sure you wear a jacket over your costume. The second request is for Long Beach, California. It is currently 64 degrees and, clear-ish. Long Beach is basically, we're essentially there, right?
Yeah.
Because we're in
Stone's
Southern
throw.
California. And the last piece of guest weather is for Santo Domingo in the Dominican Republic. It is currently 75 degrees, which, we record at night. So it's even later in the Dominican Republic, right? On account of time zones. And it's
Still warm.
Still warm.
Still warm. Emojica 19.
Emojica. I was so close. Emojica, thank you for the 5-star review and for suggesting that we talk about the weather in 3 different places, one of which is basically where we live, and the other 2 I've never been to. Have you been to Grand Rapids, Michigan?
I haven't.
Have you been to Santo Domingo?
I have not.
Have I been to Grand Rapids, Michigan? seems like a place I would have been, right?
Yeah, it's also a stone's throw.
From
Wisconsin?
Sure, all the way across Lake Michigan. It's a very big lake. It would be hard to throw that stone. Mark, people can leave us reviews on iTunes. We love that. But people can also email us, and you can do so by emailing Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com. And let me tell you what, you are going to want to do this because we are coming so close to the episode wherein we determine the 8 best NES games of all time.
When this episode is released, you will have 6 days.
Yeah, less than a week. It's a race against the clock.
To get your nominations or
non-nomination? I don't know.
Because here's the thing. We want to hear from you, the listener, about which NES games deserve to go on our list. And here's where it gets tricky, is we're only picking one game per series.
That's right.
So if you feel strongly about Mario 2 over Super Mario Brothers 3 or Super Mario Brothers 1, you'll want to get that in.
Yeah. And look, if you want to say Back to the Future Parts 2 and 3 is one game, and I should be able to nominate them both as it's one game, we say fair play to that. That counts. But also, that game is terrible. If anyone tries to put that on this list, I will fight you. But please contribute. Tell us what to put on, what not to put on. We need your help. NES games only. No Famicom stuff. It has to have had a U.S. release. So just email us, Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com to participate in that. Mark, what else can they do with that email address?
You can borrow Patrick's copy of Sonic Forces.
That's right. Sonic Forces is currently out in the wild, presumably going very fast, but also taking its time to come back to me.
Well,
which is fine.
Which is great.
And up to the user.
Part of the program.
As previously discussed, I will not prescribe how you use my copy of Sonic Forces. Once it leaves my hands, I wash those hands of anything, any responsibility having to do with the game until it returns to me.
And I believe the genesis of that phrase is the person who says that was, of course, everything worked out great for them. So
is that like a Judas? Did Judas say that originally?
I don't think Judas did.
Pontius Pilate might have.
Yeah, because he was like, "What do we
sense.
do with them?" And he's like, "I don't know. I'm done with this.
I wash my hands. I'm done with this.
I'm out.
I got no more responsibility."
But that's a tangent.
Yeah,
not related to the Sonic Forces borrowing program. Send us your mailing address, and you'll get put on a list. And eventually, the
list is presently sort of long. Like I will say, and look, if you are in college or about to move or whatever, and your address may change, I will email you back before I send it to you. So, like, if you get that email and you're like, "Oh, I don't live there anymore," that's fine. We'll work it out.
Yeah,
you don't have to worry about me sending it to a dead address.
Yes.
If your house burned down, first of all, we are so sorry.
Yeah, that's a bummer.
That's terrible. But I won't mail my copy of Sonic Forces
to your burned down house. Yeah, that's fair.
That's a Nintendo Cartridge Society guarantee. Nintendo Cartridge Society
at gmail.com.
All right, Mark, let's get into what we've been playing this week.
I've been playing some Dark Souls Remastered still.
Great.
The game has its hooks in me.
Yeah. You're there for it.
I am. It was a little rough going at the beginning, just like getting back into the rhythm of what one of these games is like. But now I'm like cooking, dying all the time.
Yeah.
But like getting right back up and figuring out ways to cheese boss after boss.
Yeah. And I mean, that game is really about like finding those cheese opportunities and just taking advantage of them.
For sure. Because like fighting some of these bosses on face value would be an absolute nightmare, like a complete waste of time.
Well, that's good. I'm glad you are not considering what's happening now a complete waste of time.
No, I'm enjoying it thoroughly. The other thing I'm enjoying thoroughly is Super Mario Odyssey.
Now, I saw this on your list of games that you've been playing.
You thought it was a mistake.
I thought, Mark's a big dummy. He probably made a mistake. What brought you back to Super Mario Odyssey?
Well, it was the 1-year anniversary of Super Mario Odyssey's release very recently. And as part of that, Nintendo put like a little, I guess, like Easter egg into the game. So I guess mild spoilers if you haven't played Super Mario Odyssey.
But as previously discussed, it's been out for a year.
Yeah.
So like, get on it.
When you go to New Donk City, there is a celebration, And when you take part in the celebration, you do this like 2D platforming level
God,
that
it's so
is
good.
set to the Jump Up Superstar song.
Yeah, and it's like a real throwback to both like the original Super Mario Brothers and Donkey Kong, and sort of like sends up the like gravity warping stuff of Super Mario Galaxy. It's just Odyssey at its finest.
And when you get to the end of it, there's like a concert and just like people dancing, and you can hang out for as long as you want until you decide to leave. And in that like hangout concert area, Nintendo has placed 39 8-bit Luigi's and 8-bit Captain Toads that you have to like ground pound to find all of them, and you get like 200 coins for each one.
Wow.
So I was like, I'm going to do this. Like, that level is one of my favorite parts of Super Mario Odyssey. Hop in, do that.
Is it
Found all 39.
satisfying to like to find these 8-bit Luigi's and
It's
Captain Toads?
satisfying enough.
Sure,
Like,
you get 200 coins for
right.
each one. Yeah.
I think if you didn't do it, you're not really missing out on anything. But it, again,
except for 200 coins,
except for
39
200
times.
coins per, yes. It was, and so it finished that. It was like, I haven't picked up this game for months at this point. I realized I had never gone back to like the Bublina, or like the Oceanside Kingdom, or whatever it's called, Seaside Kingdom, since I beat the game. And so I was like, oh, I'll just like pop in there real fast, do maybe like a couple of moons, and just like totally got hooked. Was just having a bunch of fun, just running around being Mario. And the other thing is that I had beat Super Mario Brothers 3 on the NES Switch Online, and it was kind of hankering for another like Mario adventure, but was watching Castlevania for our episode on Thursday, and so didn't want to have the NES Classic or the SNES Classic because I was watching Netflix on the TV, so I could have
something
like
that you
the
could
Switch
do in
and
your
like
hands.
handheld. Exact. Anyways, it's a perfect storm. Really enjoyed going back to Super Mario Odyssey.
The last time that I like went back into it and spent some real time with it, I was doing a lot of the Luigi's Balloon World, which I still think is the best way to like really farm coins and really up your coin total fast. But it kept sending me to both the Snowy Kingdom, which I can't remember the name of, and the Seaside one that you were just talking about. And in both of those, I was discovering like all kinds of moons that I just like skipped over, or like hadn't really gone back to those levels to re-explore. And yeah, it's just, what a great game.
Yeah, it made me want to like restart it.
Yeah,
because I enjoyed it the first time through, but I wasn't as high on it as some other people were.
Yeah,
as it seemed like the general consensus was. And so, but I had like a ton of fun this last time, and so I don't know if like having a little bit of distance from when I was trying to like cram my way through it, like I'd be able to appreciate it differently than I was the first time.
I have been playing the Mega Man X Legacy Collection, which I picked up last week after beating Mega Man 11, because I had such a good time playing Mega Man 11. I was like, there's no reason this party needs to end. I can pick up the X Legacy Collection. Also, it was on sale for a little bit, so I picked it up for $15 instead of $20, which, for 4 games is a pretty good deal. So previous to this, I had really only played the original Mega Man X. Both when it was out on the Super NES originally, and then I have played it since it came out on the Super NES Classic. And I love that game. I think that game is amazing. I also know it very well, so I haven't actually gone into it in the Legacy Collection. But I'm having kind of a tough time with the other 3. The game gets chattier as they progress, and sort of more interested in the story of Mega Man, which I don't know why anyone is ever interested in the story of Mega Man, because it's all nonsense. Like, there's no part of it that I'm like, oh, I'm glad I heard that. I'm glad I read this text. So, I just like I struggle with that. I also struggle with like not knowing the games already. So I have no idea what order to approach the bosses in. I know this is something I could Google. But like, I just had this really cool experience with Mega Man 11 where I also didn't look up any of the boss weaknesses. And, I really like that. And I feel like the game gave you the tools to get good at it and learn about itself, where the X games don't really. And it's like all this is really serving to do is increase my opinion of Mega Man 11. I really think that's a special game. And I think people are, if not sleeping on it, like maybe evaluating it through I don't know what the standard is that people are evaluating Mega Man games by. And if it is, if people are like, well, if it's not Mega Man 2, 3, the original X, or like Mega Man 9, then it's got to be garbage. Which maybe 11 isn't as good as those. How many games did I name? 3? Like the 3 best Mega Man games ever. But I would say it's an easy 4th. Like an easy 4th. Anyway, I want to go back to Mega Man 11, and I don't know that I'm going to continue with the Mega Man X Legacy Collection for too much longer. I'm happy that I have access to the original on my Switch, but I don't know, the other 3. If there's someone out there that wants to direct me to one of those Mega Man X games, either 2, 3, or 4, and say no, you should really go back in for that one, I would love to hear it, because I'm just having a hard time focusing on any one of them now.
Do you think that's a little bit of... I have a problem with music when I discover a new artist or new to me artist, or hear a single and I'm like, I want to check out this person's catalog, and you go to Apple Music or Spotify or wherever.
Yeah, you don't know.
There's they're prolific. They have 24 albums. Where to even have an entry point?
One for every hour of the day.
And so it's overwhelming, and so I end up not really getting into it.
Yeah.
Because it's just too much. And do you think that there is some of that here?
There's certainly part of that there. Because like I was saying with Mega Man 11, that I went through a period where I was just sort of sampling levels and seeing how far I could get in them and just sort of learning them. And then when I was like, all right, now I'm really going to make a run for it and really go, then I could commit myself to actually beating all those levels. Whereas now I'm sort of sampling each of the 3 games that I hadn't played. And there are 8 levels in each of those. So now I've got, 24 levels to choose from.
One for every hour of the day.
That's right. So yeah, I'm sure I am being hurt by the luxury of too much choice. So one of you out there has got to tell me which one of these games I should be playing. Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com. Mark, we got an email from a listener who gave us a nice gift.
This is insanely cool.
June wrote in and said, with a screenshot of digital codes for the Messenger, and said, absolutely adored this game. Hope you two do too.
That's amazing.
So thank you, June.
Yeah, thank you so much.
That's incredible. The Messenger, when Mark came in here today, was like, was that a game that you wanted to play? It sounds like a Patrick game. And it is, and I did want to play it, but it just sort of, I don't know, it came and went, and for whatever reason I didn't pick it up. But I am very excited to pick up and play this game now. So we'll talk about it maybe next week.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. That's incredibly cool. And I'm not trying to say that this is the standard the rest of you should hold your emails up to. But no, Marks, I wanted to dispel that. I think this is very generous and very nice, June. No one else send us game codes unless you work for someone and you want us to review your game or something.
Or you want to.
Or you want to. That's fine. I just don't want people to think that they have to.
You don't have to.
But thank you for sending a lot of mixed messages here. Okay, that's what we've been playing this week. Let's get into the new releases and what we might be playing next week.
All right, there's 2 things on this list I want to talk about, both coming out on Friday, November 2nd. Diablo 3 Eternal Collection.
Yes.
Coming out for Switch.
Yes.
And the Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Bundle, the Switch bundle.
Right, the one that does not come with a game. I mean, it does come with the game.
It comes with a digital download, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. But I mean, it doesn't come with you won't have...
Explain the distinction.
No one will be playing the game this Friday, is my point.
Yes, very true.
But you will be able to play other games on the Switch.
Any Switch game will work.
I don't know why I bother to talk sometimes. Now, you were blowing through some other releases this week.
Oh, sure, yeah. Catch me up on what I should have been paying attention to.
So I think other games of note, Transistor is coming out on November 1st. That's Thursday. That's one of the the company that made Bastion is Transistor.
Oh, okay.
Is their like second game in that franchise, or in that sort of spiritual series. The Lego Harry Potter collection is coming out today, October 30th. Lego games are cool, man. I'm not going to pick this one up because
you've played a Lego
'cause I've
game
played a
before.
Lego
They're all
game
kind
before.
of the same.
But I mean, I don't know. Harry Potter, they used to split those up, right?
I mean, if you're gonna, if this is your first Lego game, it's as good as any. I'm assuming. I haven't played it. And then Mutant Football League Dynasty Edition also comes out today, October 30th.
Now, have we talked about this? Mutant Football League, is that the same as Mutant League Football?
It is not, obviously, because
Wow.
this one was crowdsourced and does not infringe on any copyrights. I think it's created by the same people that originally created Mutant League Football, but they don't own the rights to that.
That makes sense to me. But look, so what we're going to I think you and I are both way in on Diablo 3, right?
Yeah,
I'm excited about this.
I am too.
I haven't played a Diablo game since the original.
Yeah, and I know basically nothing about Diablo 3.
Yeah, I mean, me neither, except we can get armor that can turn us into Ganondorf or something.
Yeah, no, I think that's it.
I think that's exactly it. All right, well, so that's what we might be playing. Let's close out the new releases here. Now it's time for a regular segment on our show. It's time for 433. In 1952, American composer John Cage wrote a piece called 433, wherein a performer or group of performers didn't play their instruments for 4 minutes and 33 seconds. For the purposes of this show, our instruments are talking about Nintendo. So, for the duration of one performance of 433, Mark and I will talk about something not at all Nintendo related, thus fulfilling the contract of the piece. Today, Mark, we are talking about our favorite Universal movie monsters. Or at least, we'll just talk about the Universal movie monsters.
Yeah, so we're talking Frankenstein,
And Frankenstein's monster.
Dracula,
Uh-huh. The Mummy.
the Mummy,
The-
the Invisible Man
Right. Some sort of creature.
from the Black Lagoon.
Right.
Yeah, I would say that's all of them, most of them, the big ones.
Yeah, I think if
The
there's...
Wolfman, did we say the Wolfman?
If we didn't say the Wolfman, we got to start over.
Well, then we said the Wolfman.
Okay, great. How do you feel about these characters? Remember, there was a little bit ago when they were going to do like a dark
Dark Universe.
Dark Universe.
Uh-huh.
There was even that like Entertainment Weekly like cover that had like all of the like Russell Crowe and Tom Cruise and whoever else was
Javier Bardem.
Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
uh-huh.
There's one we missed.
I don't think he's a classic Universal
You don't
movie
think- you
monster.
don't think
I think
so?
they were like
We need
trying to like weave him into the Dark Universe.
Sure, he's the Nick Fury of that universe.
Yeah,
Or is Frankenstein the Nick
Russell
Fury?
Crowe was like the Nick Fury of that universe, I think.
Okay, but what character does Russell Crowe play?
Oh, he plays
Nick
Jekyll.
Fury.
Anyways, that didn't come to pass.
Right. Largely because people didn't like that Mummy movie.
I assume so.
Who's your favorite of these mummies monsters?
So
Did I give away mine?
used to be the creature from the Black Lagoon,
Okay.
and while I still really like the creature from the Black Lagoon, but recently, like considering the movie, and you're like, this is pretty racist, just like not on purpose,
Yeah.
just because it was made in like the 50s
and all culture was racist then,
exactly, yeah.
instead of most of it like now.
Because it's basically about like a scary person coming and trying to steal white women,
Yes.
and then everybody like getting real mad about it.
Right, but the woman is into it, right? Is she into the creature or
No.
not? She's not into the creature. So, Shape of Water is not like a modern remake of.
I mean, it
the
is-
Creature from the Black Lagoon.
It's like a corrective version of it, I guess you
sure
could say.
a corrective, extra horny version of it.
Well, maybe, some might say the appropriate level of horniness.
I would agree. I think that movie is just as horny as it needs to be. I think I like The Mummy. I have not seen the most recent Tom Cruise Mummy. I do like the 90s mummy movies. I think
They're very fun. I haven't
they're-
seen the third one actually, but the first two are great. The first one is fun.
Right. There's like the there's like the Scorpion King, but that's not what we're talking about. When you say the
No.
third
There was
one.
like a third one with Jet Li, I think.
Right, and like dragons. I've seen part of that one on a plane.
That seems like a good way to experience.
It was perfect, basically.
The
But
first one's fun.
A mummy is just so specific. Like the ancient Egyptian like cultural angle of it is so interesting and so specific. And I don't think anyone really messes around with mummy stuff. Like you'll see adaptations of Frankenstein or like the Frankenstein story, and you'll see vampires and other stuff and werewolves and other stuff. But like the mummy is so singular. I feel like actually in the same way that the creature from Black Lagoon, like outside of course of The Shape of Water, we don't really see adaptations of that sort of thing.
That's true. I will make one small distinction.
Uh,
In a wolf man is not a werewolf.
okay, well, why don't you lay on me the difference between
Well, a werewolf is a person who transforms into like a wolf-like creature.
is Wolfman just a wolf man all the time?
No, he also transforms, but he like doesn't. Well, I guess we'll never know.
We will never know the distinction between Wolfman.
Frustrating
and
to me.
Wolf. Yeah, it's frustrating to me too. I understand what that one person who wrote in saying we shouldn't do that was saying. We were accompanied today by the Austin Civic Orchestra as conducted by Dr. Lois Ferrari. All right, Mark, let's get into the news.
All right, everybody buckle up because there was a potential Smash Brothers leak this past week.
We're approaching this with some skepticism here, right?
I have no clue. I have no clue if this leak is true or not.
Right.
Absolutely no clue. Like,
Right.
how would I possibly know?
And here's the thing, no one does know, right? And people are getting worked up about it. You and I right now appear to be worked up about it. So we're all going to like calm down a
Yeah,
second.
we're going to take deep breaths.
Right? I mean, Mark and I will stay amped up because it's better radio, but you should all calm down.
Okay, so a French printing company called Marina PLV, maybe employee or ex-employee or something, may be the source of a new character leak for Smash Brothers Ultimate. An employee, again, maybe ex-employee, Snapchat story revealed an image of an Everybody's Here graphic with like half a dozen new characters on it. Includes Shadow the Hedgehog, Banjo and Kazooie, Ken from Street Fighter, Gino from Super Mario RPG, Isaac from Golden Sun, Mach Rider from Mach Rider, and the Chorus Kids from Rhythm Heaven.
Okay, so do we need to delve further into where this leak came from, or do you want to talk about those characters, or how do you want to structure this? There's a lot here.
Okay. Well, let's get the where did this come from out of the way.
Right.
So there was a LinkedIn profile for the person that supposedly leaked it, who at one point worked for the Marina PLV company. Fans are calling this the Grinch leak because the photo from Snapchat also includes previously unseen assets from the new Grinch movie.
The Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah, coming out this
take
year.
At the Grinch movie.
The leak includes Everybody's Here background, doesn't have any characters on it, so the presumption is that an asset like that would be hard to get, if not from like Nintendo. And I guess that's pretty much it.
Well, I do think this part is interesting that there is a recent issue of CoroCoro which lists the number of stages in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate as 108, which of course conflicts with the 103 number that we heard in the most recent Direct. But if there are 5 stages for these 5 non-Echo characters that would all like require their own new stages, that would bring 103 to 108. However, CoroCoro has printed a correction to say that it was just a mistake when they printed 108 instead of 103. So it's sort of that own evidence eats its own tail.
So points for this not being true.
Yes.
The supposed leaker does not work at the company that at this Marina PLV.
Mm-hmm.
The image is extremely blurry, which means there's a ton of room for fakery. The person who supposedly leaked it has denied having anything to do with it. The French company implicated in the leak denies everything, including that they're currently working with Bandai Namco, although they acknowledge that it is true that in the past they have worked with Bandai Namco. I've got to be honest, I do not care. Like I like if these characters are in it or if these characters are not in it, like I don't understand the fervor or like the furor around this.
Well, so people obviously like to new Smash character reveals are exciting, right?
Yeah, they're supposed to be fun.
They're supposed to be fun. They're revealed in some kind of fun video, and Luigi dies, and like everyone has fun with it. It is kind of crazy that we are as close to the release of this game as we are. It's a little over a month away. The bundle containing it comes out at the end of the week, and that there are still some characters that we don't know. And if these 7 characters
well, presumably, we don't even know if that's true, right?
I believe Sakurai said they still have more coming.
Oh, okay.
But I suppose it is possible that he lied to us. That would be the ultimate troll. I don't know if these 7 characters are so many of them are like the fan favorite, like have been asked for forever. And I don't know if to me that makes it more likely or less likely that these are true, because like King K. Rool and Ridley are both fan favorite characters that did make their way into this version of the game. So like, is that just the way the winds are blowing? Or is this just, someone seeing Reddit and 4chan posts and being like, I'm going to find a way to make everyone's, secret wishes come true?
Because presumably some of these would be echoes, like Shadow the Hedgehog.
Shadow and Ken would both presumably... Shadow would be an echo of Sonic and Ken of Ryu. But in both cases, I'm like, who cares? Like, okay, maybe Ken, just because like he's in a fighting game pedigree that like you understand like the mechanical differences between Ken and Ryu, and like being able to pit them against each other is like an important thing in a one-on-one fighter. Shadow the Hedgehog?
Sonic fans,
I know,
are intense.
I understand.
They have a love for a lot of these characters. The thing that like I don't understand what happened around this leak because I didn't follow it closely.
Yeah. Man, it was a wild ride.
But because people are so angry about this, there's a lot of anger, and this is of course like a minority of the world, or even of like people who follow Smash Brothers, but they are a very loud minority, and I'm not even sure what people are angry about.
Well,
seems to be like...
I was gonna ask because you brought up that people are angry about it, but you're not clear.
I'm not entirely sure what was going. Like at some point into my Twitter timeline came this thread where somebody was like going off on like Game Explain, because Game Explain like put a video out there that said that this isn't true, and then they haven't talked about the leak since then, and they were like trying to go all like true, like 9/11 truther on Game Explain, and being like, well, some of these journalists like they make these quote unquote predictions about things that are coming to E3 that there's no way they'd be able to predict, and then they do come true. I wonder if they have inside information. And it's like, yeah, dummy, they do have inside information, and they just couch it in the terms of a prediction because that's the way the game is played.
I mean, yeah, here's the thing. Fans of like video game, and I do look, I am sure this is not true of our listeners, but the fans of video game podcasts and like websites and YouTube channels and whatever, there is a toxicity to those fan bases that always like to challenge the people who are entertaining them, and I don't know why. I guess it's not unique, right? Because this is true in comics as well, that like a lot of fan bases are just toxic towards the people that they are getting a bunch of entertainment from. And like part of that is feeling like you're being lied to, or like that they're performing in a way. And like, yeah, everyone's Remember when I said we're going to tone it way down and it got super boring for a second? Of course we're performing. And all these people are performing too. I don't know. I don't know why anyone would get to that level of like 9/11 truth or Game Explain. What are you hiding from us? We trusted you.
Yeah,
it just seems crazy.
It's baffling to me, and there just seems like there are like so many different like facets of this leak that have made people go crazy. I can't wrap my head around it, and I haven't investigated it because it grosses me out so much.
Sure. I also, this is more of just a but every article that I've seen about this, and we didn't do this, so I apologize if anyone's upset about it. But they've all included spoiler warnings. Like, if you don't want the final Smash roster spoiled for you, maybe avoid this article. But like, you spoiling marketing? Like, I get that it's fun and it's exciting to see new characters, but like, huh?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, spoiler culture in general is something that I find maddening sometimes.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I don't know what to make of this supposed leak. It doesn't matter to me. Like,
who's your favorite of these characters on the 7 character list?
I think, well, personally the Chorus Kids, because I love Rhythm Heaven. It'd be really fun to see how they're incorporated into Smash. I think Mach Rider, if true, is a real left field choice.
So funny.
I assume that you play like Captain Falcon.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows?
Who knows?
Could play like anything.
But like Isaac from Golden Sun, I'm assuming it's just another dude with a sword.
Well, I would assume that he would be more magic based, right? Because he's wait, is he the Earth one or is he?
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, fire maybe. I think he would use magic. I'm excited about Geno, if true, because Super Mario RPG is one of my favorite games ever. But I mean, whatever. Whoever else they put in this game, it's going to be fun and exciting.
If they put nobody else in the game,
yeah,
it'd be fine.
Isabelle's already there.
What more do you want, animals?
Yeah.
Moving on to happier topics. Nintendo is partnering with nonprofit group Institute of Play to bring Labo to 100 schools in the U.S. during the 2018 to 2019 season, targeting about 2,000 students ages 8 to 11.
Cool.
So selected schools will receive Switch systems, Labo variety kits, and Nintendo Labo teacher guides. And schools that want to apply can do so at instituteofplay.com/Nintendo Labo. The program is kind of in like a beta test right now.
Yeah.
At a school in New York, and eventually will be rolled out to schools around the country. And the program runs through March 2019.
I think this is a great idea. Anytime I'm playing with Labo or putting it together, I have to deal with the cognitive dissonance that I am enjoying it, but am a 36-year-old man, and I should really be a 12-year-old learning to put these things together and having a great time with it. And yeah, I mean, they seem great. And if I had Labo when I was a kid, and like I used to mess around in with programming languages, and I think if I had something that was more engaging, or like a class I could have taken, or something that was like a fun version of it, instead of like making a program so I could roll dice without rolling dice, just something I did, that I would have really gotten into the sort of like garage aspect of it, and just like building my own very simple logic based programming implements. Like, I think it would be, I think this is a great idea, and I would have loved it as a kid.
I also think Nintendo of Canada is doing something like a similar program. I don't know that's necessarily like focused on schools, but they've also been using Nintendo Labo as a way to like get kids interested in STEM programs.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm with you. I think this is such a good idea and such a fun use of Labo.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, like, for a kid, the journey from a piece of cardboard to a functional, useful toy is a short journey anyway. So like, yeah, why not also make it a magical version of cardboard that can read what piano keys you're playing? It seems perfect to me.
During a panel at PAX Australia, Bethesda marketing executive Pete Hines commented on the company's Switch support. I'm paraphrasing rather than reading the direct quote, but basically he said that Switch is in the conversation for every game that the company works on. That doesn't mean that it's feasible for every game, but it's something that they always consider. he also mentions that they like being the leading third party on the Switch, and that the next Wolfenstein game would be coming to Switch. It's unclear if he means the Youngblood game, which has already been announced for PS4, Xbox One, and PC, or like some future Wolfenstein game. They had mentioned a Wolfenstein 3, but that seems like very far off.
Right, and Youngblood is like a sort of like a standalone expansion.
Yeah,
kind of thing?
I feel like it's like the Torna the Golden Country
Yes.
of Wolfenstein.
Man, I wish there was just one example of it that was like the shining standard that we could all be like, it's like this.
Right. I guess maybe that Uncharted spinoff.
I mean, I think the infamous Festival of Blood is
sure.
my go-to.
There was a report a while ago of Youngblood being listed for Switch at GameStop, so maybe that is actually a true thing. I guess we'll find out in the future. Tangential to this,
Good.
The Elder Scrolls Online director Matt Firor, Firor, mentioned the Switch in an interview with GameStop this past week, saying that he would love for the game to be on Switch, but it's just too big at 75 gigabytes. Again, kind of paraphrasing there.
Ooh,
It's a big game. He said it's one of the biggest games. But you know what will fit on Switch?
Tell me.
Resident Evil.
Oh,
you know
God.
it, baby. Capcom sent out a tweet that Resident Evil 0, and Resident Evil 4 will be coming to Switch sometime next year, and then more details will be revealed in the future. This feels like an inevitability, but I'm totally on board for it.
I like all of these games. Will happily play all of these games again when they come to Switch. I was going to say especially 4, but especially all 3 of them. I like these games a lot. 0 is probably the weakest of them, but I haven't played it since the like HD re-release. I've only actually played it on GameCube. So that was a long time ago.
Yeah, I think 4 is definitely the one that I'm most excited about picking up. This will be like the third time I've bought that game, which is actually not that many when it comes to Resident Evil 4.
No,
like
you
people
could buy
about
it so many more times.
But yeah, so the original Resident Evil, I think maybe a year ago or so, was like a PS Plus title. The
remake?
The remake.
Yeah.
And I assume these are both, or like the Resident Evil here will be like the remake.
Oh, yeah, it's got to be. There's no way they're going to put out the original Resident Evil, not even like pre-director's cut Resident Evil.
But
they didn't have analog support, Mark. Do you remember that? You had to play the game with a D-pad.
I have a hard time revisiting the original Resident Evil game.
Yeah, well, I mean the original. I do.
No,
too.
I mean even the remake. It's just like 4 is more my speed nowadays.
I know people complain about it, but man, I love the tank controls and the fixed camera. That feels like some genuine scary horror to me. And is, yeah, I just that's my speed, that's my jam. Speaking of, we got an email from Adam. Adam asks, what is the best Halloween or horror game for 3DS or Switch that you could recommend?
Oh,
it's a tough one, right? I feel like I don't normally go to my Switch platforms for horror. However, I did just say that I haven't played Resident Evil 0 since GameCube. So I do think that any of the Resident Evil games are a good candidate for this, including the Revelations games, which are available on Switch.
And the first one is on 3DS.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's a great question. I haven't played very many of like the indie survival horror games that are on Switch, and by very many I mean any of them. So my vote is going to be you should get Stardew Valley because there's a like pumpkin October festival.
I mean, this
can't
be your suggestion for
it's like
everything.
A little bit spooky.
If someone wants to,
it's not really spooky, but
it seems like kind of a cop out answer.
It's a fun game though.
Yeah, I would also say if you want to do something that is spooky but not actually scary, Luigi's Mansion: Dark of the Moon. There's a ton of fun content in there, and I think it's in the player select collection, so it's like $20.
I guess
on 3DS.
The Luigi's Mansion, the original, is now on 3DS as well.
Yeah, but you can get this one for half as much, and there's multiple mansions, which I know we talked about. Not everyone's in favor of, but I say the more mansions, the better.
Yeah, more mention for your buck. Speaking of Capcom, as part of their second quarter financial results, the company reported that Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate, which was released outside of Japan last quarter, quote, enjoyed robust sales. So that's good news. They also expressed that Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection and the Mega Man X Legacy Collections also have done well.
I bought one.
But they those weren't Switch exclusives.
And Street Fighter 30th Anniversary, I also bought that. But not on Switch.
Oh, right. You ended up getting it on PS4.
Yeah, that's right.
Team Sonic Racing has been delayed to May 21st, 2019. The game was originally slated for a winter 2018 release, but the official Sonic the Hedgehog Twitter account tweeted last week, quote, "We know delays are no fun, but quality matters most. Thanks for your patience. We've got more to show you for TSR very soon."
That's fine. I'm not hurting for a kart racing game. I will happily have it when they put it out. I don't know. I like that they're taking the extra 6 months to put some real polish on it. That's pushing it pretty far back though.
Yeah,
back to May.
Well, I mean, maybe they also don't want to release in the February mess.
Yeah,
where everything else is coming out.
There's a lot of February,
and they still have to put Danica Patrick in there. So
got to put Danica Patrick in there, and obviously now this weird, maybe not real Smash Brothers leak has set the standard that if Shadow the Hedgehog isn't in your game, people are going to get upset.
Oh yeah, great point.
Got to put Shadow.
The data miners are at it again, everybody.
Data miners!
Based on data mined information from the Switch version of Diablo 3, which, as we mentioned, comes out this Friday, but I guess maybe if you know how to do that sort of thing, if you preload it to your system, you can data mine it. I don't know. How else would you data mine a game that hasn't come out yet?
How do you data mine a game? This is information I don't have.
Yeah, I don't have an answer for that either. It seems like some Diablo-themed amiibo are on the way.
Now, can you believe this? Can you believe it?
What a time to be alive.
What a time to be alive.
And I know we say that for a lot of stuff, but here, I really mean it.
Right. And, it might actually be a nightmare time to be alive, but the amiibo.
I didn't say saying what a time to be alive. I guess
neither positive
neither
nor negative.
It's
right,
just
right.
Wow, I can't believe I'm alive right now. Oh boy.
What kind of amiibo are we talking about here?
A treasure goblin.
Uh-huh.
And a demon amiibo.
Okay.
And actually maybe we'll learn more at BlizzCon, which is happening this weekend. On the 2nd and 3rd for sure, which happens to coincide with the game's release on Switch.
That's exciting. I like it whenever there are amiibo from other companies. I mean, I loves me my Nintendo amiibos. But Shovel Knight is one of my favorite amiibo.
It always feels like a novelty when there's a third-party amiibo, and sometimes you really are like, whoa, I never in a million years would have seen this coming, like a Dark Souls amiibo.
Yeah, that one's
and
pretty
a
crazy.
Diablo 3 amiibo, a little bit out of left field too, but in a fun way.
Yeah, no, I'm there for it.
Finally, Yahoo Auction in Japan revealed a Wiimote prototype developed for the Nintendo GameCube.
This is so weird.
The prototype looks remarkably like the finished Wiimotes, and even comes with a nunchuck and sensor bar. The nunchuck plugs in with a I'm blanking on what it's called, like an Ethernet cable rather than the Wiimote connectors that were
weird.
Yeah. And instead of being wireless, it has one long cord, the Wiimote prototype, one long cord that plugs into the GameCube's controller port, and the sensor bar plugs into the GameCube's memory card slot.
Wow, so they were just really they were Frankensteining something together. No one's favorite, a Universal movie monster. And then they were like, you know what? We should just make a new thing.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense, especially when you consider that the Wii pretty much ended to be a souped-up GameCube.
Yeah. A barely souped-up GameCube.
WayForward developer James Montagna confirmed the prototype's authenticity on Twitter, saying that he saw them back when it was still known as the Nintendo Revolution, which, of course, was the code name for the Nintendo Wii.
Man, what a cool code name that was. Nintendo had some cool code names back in the day, right?
Dolphin.
Yeah, Dolphin, not actually that cool code name.
Project Cafe.
Oh yeah. Okay, maybe they're all bad except for Revolution.
Yeah, Revolution was pretty sweet.
I just remember hearing that no, we are no longer going to call this thing the Revolution. We are going to call it the Wii, and being like, huh?
Oh yeah, everybody was like, huh? And they were smart enough to do it before E3 so everybody could get like the out of their system.
You got to get the out of your system. Well, Mark, how much would you pay for this? For this for this prototype?
I mean, I don't own a GameCube, so
yeah. I mean, that's the ultimate irony is that we would have to probably get our hands on a Wii and then plug it into the GameCube controller slots on the top of a Wii. It doesn't seem practical.
No, I mean, I did not bid on this, so.
All right, great. Mark, let's get out of the news. Oh my goodness, that's going to do it for this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. Remember to rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts. If you leave us a 5-star review, we will see it, and then we will read all 3 of your guest weathers and comment on it very little. I'm sorry, 3 is a lot. We don't have much to say
and
about
big
it.
ups to the everybody in all of those places.
Absolutely.
Grand Rapids,
Long
Beach,
and Santo Domingo.
Yeah, the biggest of ups.
The biggest of ups. If you like this show, please share it on Facebook or Twitter. That sort of thing helps us out tremendously. I am at Patrick_Ellers. Mark is at MK Mitchell, and the show is at Nin Cart Society. If you want to check us out on Facebook, we are just Nintendo Cartridge Society, as you might expect. If you like Mark and mine's opinions on comic books, we write about them on retconpunch.com. Olivia Duncan made our logo. Our theme music is provided by 8-Bit Betty. You can get more of 8-Bit Betty's music by going to 8bitbetty.com or by listening right now. For my co-host, Mark Mitchell, this is Patrick Ellers saying thank you for listening.
Campfire.